Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers review. It's a special Rangers versus Motherwell preview here today. I'm joined by sports writer, Motherwell aficionado, and as I can testify, all-round great guy, Graeme McGarry. Graeme, how are you this afternoon?
I'm very well, thanks, Blair. Lovely intro, thank you, mate.
Giving you the big sale, so hopefully you provide us with some excellent content here this afternoon. I was looking ahead to that game at Fir Park on Wednesday night as Motherwell host Rangers, and to say it's a big one would be an understatement. I think that Motherwell are going to have a massive say in where this title goes this season. Obviously, Rangers, Hearts and Celtic all vying for it. I might be being unfair there by discounting Motherwell out of the title race just now. We'll see what you think, but just to start off, Graeme, what is the sort of mood amongst the Motherwell fans like right now? I mean, it's been spoken about all season that they're playing some of the best football that Fir Park has seen in 20, 30 years under Jens Berthel. They must be elated right now with how things are going in the league.
Yeah, well, to give you an idea, Blair, I was about to jump in there and say, what do you mean there's only 3 teams going for the title, So, no, listen, I think Motherwell probably a wee bit too far back to be in that conversation. But I think you're right. I think there's a massive sort of groundswell of support and enthusiasm behind what Jens Berthel is doing here. I don't think anyone expected Motherwell to be where they are at this moment in time so quickly. I think it's testament to the job he's done. As you said, the football, I haven't seen a Motherwell team play like that. I think maybe a lot of the guys watched the game against Celtic, with one of the few kind of live games that Motherwell have been involved in this season, where they wiped the floor with Celtic at Fir Park. Now, granted, it was Wilfred Nancy's Celtic, and you have to take that into account. But I think there's a level of football going on at Fir Park that I haven't seen, probably since the mid-90s when we had sort of Tommy Coyne and guys like that, or maybe even further back to the days of David Cooper and Bobby Russell on the wings, So exciting times, and you can never be confident, I don't think, as a Motherwell fan going into a Rangers game at Fir Park, because I don't think, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think Rangers have lost there since 2002 in the league, apart from the playoff game, obviously. So it's been a long, long time. I think there is a bit of confidence within the Motherwell fans that this just might be the one, but obviously Rangers coming on strong recently as well.
Yeah, one of the stats that I think has caught everyone by surprise this season is that Motherwell haven't conceded a goal at Fir Park since the 18th of October, which, given we're now midway through February, is absolutely unbelievable. There's been a lot of talk this season, a lot of plaudits given to Motherwell and the way they play and the way that their attacking football is. But I mean, that just really highlights the defensive solidity that Askew has managed to bring to this side.
Yeah, and it's all based around 2 things. It's keeping the ball, first and foremost. Obviously, opposition can't score if you've got the ball. And secondly, a great structure behind the ball as well. Now, at the start of the season, I was at the very first game in the League Cup. Motherwell played Clyde. They were passing it out from the back. The goalie was halfway up towards the halfway line. They gave the ball away. The Clyde guy chipped the goalie, and it was a horror show. And you're thinking, this could be a disaster. But since then, they've really got to grips with it. They're really comfortable in it. There's guys like Stephen O'Donnell, Paul McGinn, guys who you maybe thought are coming towards the end of their careers, certainly at this level. They've just excelled within this setup. And as well as only losing losing no goals at Fir Park in 9 games since that defeat to Falkirk, a game they actually should have won as well. They've only lost once in 15 matches, and that was to Rangers at Ibrox. And I think, as you maybe alluded to, Blair, that game was a bit topsy-turvy. It became a bit of a basketball match in the end, and Rangers took one of their chances and Motherwell didn't. So I think, the sort of narrative around Motherwell in the early part of the season was that they can't do this in Scotland. You can't play this way. You're going to get ripped apart. You don't have the players to do it. And I think what the manager has shown that, if you do have a solid structure behind the ball, then you can do it. You can do it and you can get results. And I think it's been hugely surprising to me, the sort of defensive control that Motherwell have had in matches, considering the sort of level of budget they've had. And hats off to the manager for accomplishing it. There's a wee bit of luck in there as well. I mean, if you look back on it, there's a couple of times they've given the ball away and maybe a chance has been squandered here and there, and they got away with one at Livy a couple of weeks ago, for instance, when the goalie Callum Ward got caught on the ball and he managed to recover. So there is a risky element to it. but they've managed to sort of negate that by just having a lot of control. And when they do lose the ball, they hunt and pack straight away to try and get it back. And yeah, it's a sort of level of sophistication, I guess, to the football that we've not been accustomed to seeing at Fir Park.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point you make there, Graeme, about the idea that in Scotland you aren't allowed to play like that you aren't allowed to get the ball down and actually try and play football, that it just doesn't seem like a lot of people say that the league is accustomed to it. But I think that what Jens Bertholaski has shown, that with that solidity, you can actually go and play this interesting attacking brand of football. I think, ironically, maybe it's everything that Russell Martin tried to be at Rangers, but he didn't have that base to build from. He didn't sort out the defence. He tried to just change everything really quickly, and he didn't have that solidity to move from. But what Jens has seemed to have done at Fir Park is he's built from that. He's brought that solidity in there, and then he's let his forward players go and build on that and go and use that as a springboard to show what they can do further up the park.
Yeah, I think the major difference between what Russell Martin was trying to do and what Jens Bertholaski has done at Fir Park is the fact that he does everything with intensity. There is work rate is the sort of that's the priority. You have to work hard both on and off the ball. On the ball to make angles for your teammate. They've always got options. Every single time they get the ball, they've got an option. They've got a spare man. And that's because they're working so hard. And then when they're out of possession, one of the biggest things about that Russell Martin team was that when they lost the ball, they were caught in the transition. They didn't have anything about them in terms of intensity and hard work. And this team has got it in spade loads. And that's a real sort of secret to their success, I think. I think, as you said, there can be a kind of dinosaur attitude sometimes in Scotland when you look at these guys coming in and you think, who do they think they are, telling us to reinvent the wheel and telling us how to play football. But he's actually done it. He's built it upon really modest foundations in terms of that work ethic that he's instilled in the team. It's not just about passing it out from the goalie and splitting the centre backs and getting the full backs way up high. It's about working really, really hard for the team first and foremost, and then once we've established that base, you take it from there and you try and play football. And I think that's the major difference, and it's the thing that obviously the Russell Martin team did not have, and Danny Rule has obviously remedied that.
Yeah, it's a completely different operation at Rangers right now. Danny Rowley's obviously trading a lot on physicality. That seems to be where Rangers have found a lot of success in recent weeks. You just look at, I've remarked on this on a few podcasts now, the sheer physical profile difference from earlier on in the season to this team that Rule has built now, especially with those January signings. You look at Nadiri up front, he just adds an extra physical presence. Skov Olsen's a big guy. Two Romans, he's got a physicality about him. You add to that the likes of Emmanuel Fernandez, Yusuf Chermite, John Souttar. Is there a case that Rangers could come and just bully Motherwell into submission? Is that the best way forward to try and beat this Motherwell team?
I don't think they can do it in terms of general play. I don't think they'll bully Motherwell within the game. Where I think Rangers can get a real advantage is in set plays. They've shown that they've got, since Scott Fry's come in there, they've really kind of made hay with set plays. And when I was watching Danny Rule's press conference this morning, I was waiting for a wee update on Manny Fernandez, because that's a big worry from a Motherwell perspective. Him coming into the team, he's shown what a danger he can be. But even guys like Raskan, who is so clever with his movement. So the set pieces is something Motherwell will have to be aware of. And I think Rangers do have a huge advantage here. If you could level one thing at this Motherwell team, is that there's not a lot of height. The centre-back pairing is probably going to be Paul McGinn and Stephen Welsh, I would imagine. And then you're looking around the team, you're thinking, yeah, Stephen O'Donnell's not the tallest. He's not tiny, but he's not the tallest. Longello, the left-back's a big boy, but not so dominant in the air. The midfield, very short, very small, diminutive ball players. And then up front, they do have a new signing he's Norwegian, but they brought him in from Moss FK, and he's a big lad. I've met him. And I wonder if he maybe plays him tomorrow, not just to give a physical presence at the sort of attacking end of the field, but to try and maybe combat that physical presence that Rangers have got when it comes to corners and free kicks around the Motherwell box as well. Because watching it, Fernandez is the real big worry for me. I think he's been sensational in terms of getting on the end of the corners, and I think he's a big worry for Motherwell, certainly.
Before we get into some individual players from a Motherwell perspective, you touched on that last meeting between the sides at Ibrox. Obviously, Rangers won that 1-0. It was a very tight scoreline. Tello Asgard coming out with the goal. I think it was just before the 70th minute. A really good time for Rangers. The Motherwell manager was asked the other day in his press conference if it still rankles with him that Motherwell didn't get a penalty that day. It's clear that he's not forgotten about it in the months afterwards. But I think that is just testament to how tight that. I think personally how tight this game will be on Wednesday night. I just think that there's so little to pick between the teams that the Motherwell manager, he really knows how to set up against these big teams, and Motherwell have this confidence that they can go and take anyone apart, especially on their own patch. Albeit it was Wilfred Nancy's Celtic, but the way that Motherwell dismantled Celtic that night, they will have full confidence that they can go and take something off Rangers as well.
Yeah, they'll be confident, but I think what Rangers did really well in that game at Ibrox was something I've not seen any team really do to Motherwell this season, is turn it into a bit of a basketball game in that second half. Really end to end. It was all about transition and who was going to make the most of those breaks. They took that control that Motherwell like to have. Jens Bertolascu, no matter the opposition, he likes to dominate the ball and have control of the game, and Rangers didn't allow them to do that. It then became who's going to take their chances. I thought it was interesting yesterday when Jens Bertolascu spoke about Tawanda Maswanisi, who we'll probably speak about in more detail. But he obviously wasn't available for that game at Ibrox. He was away at AFCON. And Motherwell really missed his speed on that transition, on the counter-attack, and also his finishing. No harm to Callum Henry, who was up front for Motherwell that day, but he missed a couple of really good chances, and ones you would expect that Maswanisi, in the form he's in, probably would take. So I'm really interested to see what Danny Rule does, because with Jens Bertolascu sort of publicly mentioning that, it's almost saying, if you leave space in behind, we're going to punish you because we've got Tawanda back. So I wonder how he'll set up, because Danny Rule's shown himself very flexible, I think. And he's got different plans, horses for courses, if you like, for different teams. So, yeah, it's an intriguing game. And, I just think, yeah, if Rangers do leave space in behind, Motherwell could really exploit it with the pace they do have at the top end of the pitch.
Just on Maswanisi, I know plenty of Rangers fans were looking with admiring glances over the January transfer window. A lot of people saying, why don't you just go and get him, just go and cherry pick him from Motherwell, just go and offer whatever they want, really. But it was a real statement of intent from Motherwell not to sell him, for the manager to come out time and time again to say he's not going anywhere, he's not leaving. And Motherwell in a really strong place in terms of his contract, in terms of not needing to let him go. And it must be really promising, and it must be put a lot of confidence into the Motherwell fans that the board are saying, no, this guy is potentially your star man. He can win us games, and he's going to be here for this season where we have a real shot at doing something and making a really good fist of this campaign.
Yeah, I think there's a feeling within Fir Park that this could be a really, really special end to the season. Still in the cup, a couple of tough games, obviously, in there, away to Aberdeen and then away to Dunfermline if they get through that. But also they've got designs and finishing as high up the league as possible. I think when you look at what Celtic have produced this season, at times what Rangers have produced, I know obviously they're coming on strong now, and certainly Hearts are having a wee wobble at the minute with Shankland and Devlin missing. I think there's a real feeling that they can get right in amongst that. Maybe not win the league, but certainly vie for third, maybe even second. So, yeah, it's really heartening from a Motherwell perspective that the star man, if you like, that the guy who's grabbing all the headlines this season is going to be there for the rest of the campaign. I fully expect he'll be away in the summer, don't get me wrong. What I would say about Maswanisi is that he was a bit of a slow burner when he came to Fir Park. He's always had the talent. If you remember the game last year at Fir Park where Rangers drew 2-2 with Motherwell and Motherwell went 2-0 up at half-time, I think it was, Maswanisi scored a phenomenal goal in that game, a lovely wee touch in the box. I think it was John Suter that he turned, and then a lovely finish past Jack Butland into the far corner. That was very sporadic. There was times where he disappears from games, and I wonder if that's maybe why there was a wee bit of hesitation from the likes of Rangers, and I thought Celtic as well. I thought for them it was a no-brainer to try and go and get him. Maybe they think this is a purple patch and it won't last. From the way he's playing at the moment, I was at the game at Livingston, the last game Motherwell played, and he was on fire, scored twice in the opening sort of 20 minutes, and they actually took him off because the game was won, and kept him fresh. His confidence is sky high. his finishing has been fantastic. Whether that's sustainable or not, I don't know. But yeah, he's been a real standout, and the fact that he's going to be there for the second half of the season, I think that gives the Motherwell fans extra belief that there really could be something special in the offing.
It's something that we spoke about. You've touched on it earlier in this, and here as well, that myself and Joshua spoke about how Danny Rule is going to set up just to combat that, whether he will put James Tavernier in at right back, whether Dujon Sterling can play potentially 3 games in a week, obviously with Hearts coming up at the end of the week as well, and who will be there to counterbalance Maswanisi, because he's obviously, as you touched on, an incredible threat in behind, an incredible threat running onto balls, and if the game gets a little bit open, gets a little bit stretched, he will look to utilise that pace. I do wonder if Rangers will maybe alter the lineup a little bit, maybe put another man in midfield to drop back in, just to make sure that he isn't left potentially one-on-one with James Tavernier or John Souttar on that side.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing Rangers should be doing is looking at another Motherwell player called Elijah Just, who is getting...
I know he's your favourite. You've told me
Yeah. I mean, anyone who's spoken to me this season will know I've been eulogising about this guy. He's built at the side of a fiver. You think a strong wind would blow him over, but he's been sensational. He just picks up wee holes in the midfield, and he's got the ability to play a through ball. If you look at some of Tawanda Maswanisi's recent goals, normally it's Elijah Just that's supplying the ammunition. He put a lovely ball in for him to score a header at Livingston the last time they played. If you look at his goal against St Mirren recently, St Mirren came and played a kind of suicidal high line, and just picks up the ball and just releases him. He's got that in his locker. And I think Rangers would be well served to maybe put an extra man in the middle of the park just to kind of give him the detail of just staying on Elijah Just and stopping him threading those balls through, because it might be the best way to combat Maswanisi is to cut off the supply. Whether they can pick him up or not, I don't know. He's given a kind of free role in the team, and he'll just pop up here and there. So I think he's the real danger man. And if you stop him, you might well stop Maswanisi getting into the game.
Absolutely. It's set to be an intriguing battle, that's for sure. I know you're approaching this from a Motherwell perspective, Graeme, but can I press you for a scoreline prediction for Wednesday night? You knew it was coming.
I know. Well, listen, if anyone who's followed my Coopens knows I'm the biggest craw there is, so I may as well back a Rangers win here. No, I think it's going to be really, really intriguing, really tight. I think it all hinges on, if Motherwell can defend the set plays. I think that's where Rangers could really, really hurt them. And if they can get Maswanisi involved in the game and get him in behind, that's going to be the real danger as well. So with that, I'm going to get a scalp in my behind. I'm going to sit in the fence, and I'm going to say a thrilling 2-2 draw.
The old score draw when in doubt, just go for the score draw. Graeme, thanks so much for joining me here this afternoon to look ahead to this massive game at Fir Park tomorrow night. We'll of course be there, keeping you across all the action on the Rangers review. So stay tuned for all the updates. But for now, thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
Thank you, mate.